is I've got different people that I talk to that are all relatively tuned in when they tell me stuff. One guy who's almost never wrong, he tells me that people are completely wrong about the whole Manziel thing, and that everybody's got him figured out except one or two people, and that he will not be he'll be exposed to those people, and he's not going to be going forward. Another guy in the organization in Berea, opposite. I mean, two sources, same place, both usually accurate, go in different directions on the guy. That'll show you where that situation is. All of that over a guy that cannot even play quarterback. That's what makes this so ridiculous, man. I'm telling you now, man, this is going to go down years from now. Boy, we're going to be talking about old Mr. Football years from now. You can bank on that one, man. And not in the way that anybody thought the legend of Johnny Football was going to be written. This is going to be a horror story by the time it's done. But anyways, neither one of those really point to me as something good in that line either. I mean at that point, read between the lines when Ray Farmer said he could be a solid starter, because when you got a guy like this, that's the type of offense it's going to run. And at the end of the day, hey, man, Mike Pettin, all these coaches may end up finding themselves out because apparently, the coaching staff sees things one way and the front office sees things a different way, and you're not going to make the coaches do things that are going to get themselves fired, which means you're never going to have a functional situation. I'm very interested to see what my next couple of guests have to say about this here. Let's start talking about that, because it's a mess. It's a mess that the Browns are creating themselves. They created it themselves the day they drafted the biggest bust in NFL history. But let's talk about that. You know who's not happy today? That homeless guy. Where's he at? No, why is he not being asked to be responsible for what he said? Because everybody else has accountability and responsibility. Why is that homeless guy not being held responsible for sabotaging the Cleveland Browns? Because somewhere there's a homeless guy who's the reason we're talking about all of this today. Let's pick up right there. I got to hear what Jonathan Knight's got to say about all of this. When we come back, we're coming right back. Do not go anywhere. Quick break. Jonathan Knight, sportswriter extraordinaire, coming up on tap, talking about the latest with Wreck This Team and all. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, man. That was the one that we knew was going down, by the way. I was actually told 24 hours before the season was over that there was only one coach guaranteed not to come back, and it was Dowell Logan's, because of all of the egg on the face of the Browns there. So we'll talk about that right now. Coming back, Jonathan Knight. Following him, the BSK Kendall Lewis. Should be an interesting next couple of segments here. Talking Browns, Buckeyes, Cavs, and more. Coming up next here on The Fix.
Ladies and the pretty girls, I'm going down in history as the baddest rapper that ever could be. Now I'm feeling the highs and
Get your fix.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rock's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all, because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix. Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the sideline!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Yeah. Read between the lines of the music. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rock back with you here as we roll on. Let's get right to it. Going to the phones, my man, the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, getting ready to join us. We're talking a little bit. Well, we're going to start with the the Cleveland Browns and all of the. I wish we could start with the Cavs, but no, we have to start where it's cooking. 216-539-7535. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Always to be a part of the conversation. Let's do it. Going back to the phone. It's been a few weeks. Jonathan Knight, sports writer extraordinaire. Yeah, Ozzy, we're all looking for the answers here. JK, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, Jerry. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. Man, it's like it's prophetic there. Ozzy just said, the wreckage of our past keeps haunting me, and man, it can't get much more fitting than that here as we roll. I mean, seriously, man, I thought of a lot of things you and I were going to be talking about here when we got to Friday. I said, okay, we got the Buckeyes, man. We'll see where JK's at, man. Cavs are flipping things around in their world there, and then, the Browns felt left out. They said, wait a minute, guys. We feel left out here. What are we supposed to do in the first week of January? Oh, that's right. Throw everything away and start all over again, man. They didn't know what to do with themselves this week, man.
The New Year's tradition. What we should be talking about, I think it's only, something like 4 weeks till Truck Day. I think that's really, and then about 43 days till pitchers and catchers. I think
that's it, baby.
Be talking about.
We've been counting it down. No, we've got a special Monday countdown, man. We're not even looking at the days because that makes it seem too long. It's starting this coming Monday. We'll be down to 5. There are 5 Monday editions of the Sports Fix left until spring training. That's how we're counting it down here, man.
That's brilliant. I love it. Because that's really the only thing I can muster up any energy to talk about at this point is about Sunshine, Arizona baseball. It's very difficult to get muster up enthusiasm for anything else going on around Cleveland right now. I'll tell you that. The sports front.
No, I mean, I hear you, man. I mean, obviously, I'm telling you, man, they saw everybody else hiring coaches and got antsy and said, man, wait, last year, what were we doing at this time? Oh, we were having dinner. It was fun. Yeah. Let's get some dinners with some coaches. No, but seriously, I've got to say, I don't know how much you heard of what I was saying there before we went to the break, but man, I'm telling you, we all have our thought. Whatever you think about the Browns, and you can say how much of this is their fault, how much of this is not their fault, because I'm not even going to sit here and say that they went and necessarily asked for this, depending on what the true narrative behind the scenes of this is. Like, obviously, with Dow Logans, and I was saying this yesterday, I mean, that was a foregone conclusion. I was told that if the Browns could have fired him at the beginning of this season, they would have, but they just didn't want to put Mike Pettine's back up against any more of a wall than to start screwing with things before his first season even starts. But, when he made the Browns look like well, not that you have to work very hard to make their front office look incompetent sometimes, but he sure did a good job of adding to that narrative with his whole Johnny Manziel draft night story and all of that. But, I'm curious, did he get fired for that, or did he get fired for telling the true story? Because depending on what Shanahan and all of this stuff is about, it makes you wonder how much of the garbage really is and how much isn't, because here we sit again, different guys. You can say Shanahan wanted an out, that's fine, but it's still every year, different guys, completely different motives, completely different persons and personalities and everything. Same stuff keeps happening.
And I think that on that point, this is exactly the really scary part, or the really, really frustrating part, is a year from now, we're doing it again, because I don't think there's any doubt that Mike Pettine's the next kid to go. I mean, the stage is set, and I'm not saying not saying he deserves to, or that he should be fired now, or that I don't like the guy, or anything like that. I'm saying that undoubtedly, a year from now, they will be doing this. They will be having, like you said, they love to have dinners with coaches and wine and dine coaching candidates in January. They will be doing this. Mike Pettine has set himself up. This team, by finishing 7-9, was really one of the worst things they could have done, because now there's no way this team will come anywhere close to 7-9 next year. Just from what we're seeing now, they're going to have their sixth offensive coordinator in 6 years. They don't know. They may not have any starting quarterback. We don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to solve anything in the draft because they can't draft. They're not going to solve anything in free agency. This is going to be a worse team that takes the field next year. Take away a couple of these miracle wins that they had this year, and you're looking at a 4-12, 5-11 team. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a 4-12, 5-11 team next year. And you combine that with the 5-game losing streak at the end of this year, and Jimmy Haslam's love for firing coaches, and that's what's going to happen. So Mike Pettine, that's, if you want a connection between the Browns and the Cavs, that's it. You've got two head coaches that are dead men walking. Those, I mean, there's no doubt. Both of them, a year from right now, neither of them will be the head coach of the Cavs or the Browns. Mike Pettine and David Blatt are both dead men walking. And probably less than that, but certainly a year from now, when the ball drops on 2015, the Browns and Cavs will be looking for new coaches.
Man, now I know where I'm going to go with this conversation with you, because yesterday, actually a couple of times this week, with Dan Wismar, with John McMullen, we've had this little talk here, and that keeps coming up as what I think could be the absolute worst byproduct of what we're talking about here. I mean, I like stability, and Shanahan, whatever. I have issues with him, but he also did, and I caution people again, hindsight, you can go, oh, well, he didn't do this, that, and this. I know what we all saw coming before the season, and I know that he showed that with minimal talent, he could make some decent things happen until attrition and injuries come in. But that's the Cleveland way of doing things, is the grass is always greener until we have burned up the grass on both sides, and then we go, damn, we should have just kept the one that we had. But, I mean, Mike Pettine, you bring him up there. Regardless if you lose Kyle Shanahan, you change another offensive. I said yesterday, there's lots of brilliant, young offensive minds that nobody's ever heard of that you can find. You can replace those people, even though it sucks to have the constant turnover. What I worry about is exactly what you just said. I don't know if you are in on Mike Pettine like I am. I think he is, to me, shown me that he can be a good coach in the NFL. Not just that he's a great coach today. He's a good young coach who showed me the qualifications to grow into it if he's allowed to. I like him. He's a Browns coach that I like the most probably since Marty Schottenheimer. And I'm just being honest, man. He's got the qualities that I think make a great coach. But it's never going to happen because what you just said, now he is set up to have a terrible season, to get run over by the train of the Johnny Manziel and all of this that's about to happen next year. And then that's what I don't want to happen, because now you really are just absolutely starting over again, and he's going to be the victim in this thing.
Yes, and that's exactly right. And you nailed it on the head when you said you believe that he will be a good head coach if he's given the opportunity to.
Yes.
And you're probably right. He probably will be somewhere someday, not here and not now. The Browns are he's gone. I mean, he is a dead man walking. If he survives the entire season, I'll be surprised, but he certainly won't survive Black Monday next January, after that last day of the season. I mean, this is just one more year where we're gonna go into a year. Now, and we've done this before. I mean, it's not just to pick fire coaches. we go into seasons knowing that a coach is going to be fired, knowing that a GM is going to be fired. It's just preposterous. So they're going to kill this entire season, throw it completely out the window with a coach that they know is gone, that they didn't want in the first place, that they hired as their 10th choice. And now you're to the point, too, with the offensive coordinator, 6th in 6 years. How many of these brilliant